This is the BBC.
Hi, I'm Simon King, and before you enjoy this podcast, I just wanted to tell you about a new podcast from myself and Claire Nazir. It's called Under the Weather, and in it we're joined by a range of experts to explore some of weather's most interesting and challenging questions.
Should we still be worried about the hole in the ozone layer? It's a big question.
There's all sorts of approaches to come up with a technique that could cool the planet.
That's Under the Weather, and you can find it wherever you found this.
Hello, welcome to Comedy of the Week. I'm Sindhu V, your hostess with the mostest. You know how you think you know everything about the people you're really close to, but you actually don't? I went to my youngest kid's school gymnastics performance earlier this week. He's, 6 or 7 or something. And it turns out my kid can't even do a forward roll. I had no clue. You think you know someone, huh? But he can be a very cheerful, crouching platform for other kids to stand on. Yeah, so yay him. You know where this misjudging what you know about people close to you thing becomes really fun? At a dinner party, when you play a game where you ask each guest questions about their partner and see how well they know each other. The offense caused by the right answer or the wrong answer, or sometimes just even the silence, is wow. Especially if you start the game after most of the wine has been consumed. Just a small aside here about dinner parties. I went to one the other day and there was a seating plan. I mean, it wasn't a wedding. It was just a get-together at my friend's place. I mean, what was she thinking? And to make it worse, I realized I had to sit next to someone I didn't know, but just after first glance, I didn't want to know. I mean, why would you treat your friends like this, right? So when everyone was in the kitchen, I just moved the place cards around. The host suspected only me. She came directly over to whisper her accusations in my ear, and I, of course, wholeheartedly denied that I had done any such thing. And then she called me a liar. And I just smiled, because it's so nice when your friends know you that well. Friends knowing each other so well brings me to my pick for this week. It's Not What You Know, hosted by the hilarious Joe Lycett. I mean, if he ever invites me to dinner, I will sit next to whoever he tells me to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is It's Not What You Know.
Welcome to It's Not What You Know! Hello, I'm Joe Lycett. I'm 29 years old, bringing the average age of a Radio 4 presenter down to just 74. Now, I often say it's not what you know, but who you know. For example, it can take 2 to 4 years for a London taxi driver to master the knowledge, but it only takes 2 to 4 seconds to ask my friend Steve to order me an Uber. And it takes a lifetime to master the bass guitar, but you only have to listen to one album by Sting to realise it simply isn't worth it. Hello, Sting, if you're listening. This programme is not about what you know, it's about who you know, and most importantly, how well you know them. Every week we get 3 guests and ask each of them to nominate someone they know, who then gets rung up by me and asked a lot of really important questions. Things like, what's the best month to buy a new winter coat? And do you have a favourite ring on the hob? That's a good question. Tonight's panellists have to guess the answers their nominees gave, and if they get enough of them right, they'll win tonight's star prize, a state-of-the-art home gym. Sorry, I've misread that. They will get to go home with someone in an absolute state called Jim. We can offer a choice of Rosenthal or Broadbent, so really something for everyone. But who'll be heading off with that abbreviated James? It'll be one of tonight's guests, Tony Hawks, Rachel Riley and Desiree Birch. A great gang. Our first guest this week is writer and comedian Tony Hawks. Tony's well known to Radio 4 listeners for his appearances on Just a Minute, which is also how long I spent reading his Wikipedia page to prepare for this show. Tony has also written a number of books, including the best-selling Round Island with a Fridge. That's nothing, Tony. I've been round Dudley with a drag queen. We've all taken risks. Tony, who have you nominated to answer our questions this evening?
Yes, it's a good friend of mine. We must have met when I was, we were both around 20. So over a decade ago now, that must have been. Works well on radio, that one. And then we ended up playing loads of tennis together over the years. He's a bit of a performer as well. We had a little double act at one point. So we've just been in and out of each other's lives ever since.
Gosh, he sounds very multi-talented. Are you his agent? Let's find out who it is.
Hi, I'm Tim Berrington. I'm an actor. I live in London, and Tony is an old friend.
He doesn't sound like much of a live wire.
No, I went to town on him a bit more than he did on me.
Our next guest is Rachel Riley, best known for her appearances picking out the letters and numbers on Channel 4's Countdown. 2 from the top, 4 from the bottom. That's what they say. Also sums up my recent dates on Grindr. Little gay joke for us there. Rachel has a degree in maths from Oxford University, but has now managed to turn things around. A white, Oxbridge-educated person on Radio 4. What a novelty! Rachel, tell us who you've nominated, Rachel.
I've nominated my good friend, a lady who's got the weirdest crush I've ever heard of. She's the biggest Arsene Wenger fan in the world. And she also knows every single word in the English language, except if it's got any remotely filthy connotation, in which case I have to fill her in.
Well, I can't wait to find out who this is. Let's hear from them.
I'm Susie Dent. I'm that dictionary woman in the corner of Countdown. I live in Oxford and I work with Rachel on Countdown.
Do you hang out much off-set?
Yeah, we do. And we film for 3 days at a time. So we're up in Manchester, kind of camping out. So as soon as we're done, we're off for an Indian or a drink or gossip.
I mean, could you give us some gossip? And I refuse to continue the programme until I get some.
Well, the last example of having to fill her in on some, something she didn't understand was we had the magician Paul Zenon in, and she was his glamorous assistant, and he was trying to turn a jelly bean into a pea, and he asked her to flick the bean. As they can, and Susie dutifully did it, carried on, and we, half an hour later, did you understand what you did? No, not at all.
Oh, she's so adorable, isn't she? She has no idea what's going on around her. Well, welcome Rachel and Susie. And our final guest this evening is award-winning writer, actor and stand-up comedian Desiree Birch. Before becoming a critically acclaimed comedian, Desiree had an unusual job in that she worked as a dominatrix. Always nice to have a job where you can wear your own clothes. I mean, what was the vibe?
I mean, the vibe is exactly what you think it is. It's a bunch of women in corsets and leather beating people up and getting paid. What more is there to dream of?
And what is the full address of this establishment? Desiree, who have you nominated?
Well, I have nominated a good friend of mine from back in New York City. He's a theater friend. I met him because he had written a student film that I was in, wherein there was an island of bodybuilders who were being attacked by secret fat women who were making out with them and turning them into other fat women. He's just like one of my closest friends.
Well, let's find out which man held Desiree hostage.
Hello, my name is Dan Katroser, and I am a playwright and a screenwriter, and I live in Portland, Oregon in the United States, and Desiree Birch is my sister from another mister.
A screenwriter and playwright. We've all had periods out of work. Well, as Eamon often says to Ruth after their second bottle of Pinot Blush on a Sunday afternoon, it's time for round one. In round one, we ask your nominees questions about what they think about you, and then you have to try and guess what they might have said. Tony, we asked your friend Tim, if Tony was to compete in the Olympics, what event would he go in for? What's Tim going to have come up with there?
Our friendship was built around, playing on the tennis court. So if he doesn't say tennis, then he's no longer my friend.
Oh, I love it when the stakes are high. Also, because I know he doesn't say tennis. Then let's hear from Tim.
He might do the walking event.
The walking event. Is walking an event an Olympic event?
Yes, well, it is. Yeah, they do. It's the kind of walk that you do if you're crossing a road and you haven't allowed enough time for a car that's coming towards you, and you want to make it look like you're not running out of the way of the car.
So a sort of sassy walk.
Yeah, I
I
think that the rule is that both heels have to be on the ground at the same time, otherwise you're running.
I think it might just be one.
Yeah, that might be impossible.
I think that's standing.
No.
I think you just described a shuffle.
No, you mock me, but before we go further, I think if it's one heel on the ground and you lift the other leg... Oh, I see what you mean.
I didn't think we'd have to explain the concept of walking to Tony Robbins, but there you go. Yeah. No points there. Rachel, your turn now. We asked your friend and Countdown colleague Susie, what's the most embarrassing thing Rachel does at work? Rachel, what do you think Susie said?
Oh, embarrassing thing I do. Susie will struggle with this because she hates saying anything negative about anyone, so she probably will have lost sleep. Embarrassing. I mean, I love a rude word. I don't know. I don't find that embarrassing. Susie often finds it embarrassing.
Didn't one come up recently?
Oh, there was a brilliant one. She, anything else in Dictionary Corner, Susie? And she said, yes, I've got a word here. It's short for a type of fish, a blowfish. It's a blowy. And Susie, with a straight face.
What does that mean, Rachel?
Well, that's how it goes. Then I have to explain why I'm pissing myself in the corner and why we have to redo it. I'm going to go with just absolute filth most of the time.
OK, well, Susie, what's Rachel's embarrassing countdown habit?
She's constantly enlightening me on the kind of slang versions of the words that I think are completely innocent.
Yes, you got it right.
One of my favourites was Susie and Nick having a detailed discussion about what a growler was, and Nick...
I've got to confess, I don't know what quite a lot of these things are as well. You can fill me in
there's
after
a similar
the show.
theme.
Well, maybe jot down as you go through the show and ask her afterwards.
Yeah, I will.
I think it's... Looking forward to seeing that bit of paper at the end of the show. There's 2 points there. Congratulations. Time for you now, Desiree. We asked your friend Dan, when Desiree was working as a dominatrix, what did she like least about the job? I'm sure there's a few options, but what will Dan have gone for?
Oh, well, okay. What do you not like about all of your jobs? The people. Yeah, I mean, if he knows me, he would have been like, what she disliked were the people.
OK, well, let's find out from Dan.
Being in heels for extended periods of time is not comfortable.
Yes, he said being in heels for extended periods of time, not comfortable. Was that...
But the thing is, I'm the dominatrix. As soon as I start the session, I take those stupid things off.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm the one in charge. I don't need to be in heels anymore. I can throw them at you. I get tips for that, you know?
Yes, well, Dan said what Desiree liked least about being a dominatrix was being in heels for long periods of time. And I can understand that. They certainly wouldn't give you much purchase on what is presumably a very slippery floor. So no points there, I'm afraid, Desiree. Tony, we're back with you. We asked Tim, has Tony ever broken the law? What is Tim going to say?
Blimey, have I ever broken the law? I think maybe he remembers something from my past that I can't remember, that I might have nicked something at some stage. But I'm trying to think of the dullest thing you can say about breaking the law, and then he would have said that. I parked illegally with my car. Don't let me down, Tim.
Tim, has Tony ever broken the law?
I suppose minor traffic offences all the time.
2 points to Tony there. Now, for you, Rachel, we asked Susie, what's the best gift Rachel has ever given you? What's she going to say?
Oh, well, I think I must know this one. Well, Susie, we've worked together for 9 years and we do 5 or 6 shows a day, so we have to get changed 5 or 6 times a day. And Susie just never brings underwear. She's always asking...
Hang on, am I dreaming?
I mean, more often than not, it's a bra. Because she always asks for mine, so I did send her a nice bra that hopefully fit, so she wouldn't potentially nick mine all the time.
OK, Susie, tell us all.
One Christmas, Rachel bought me a beautiful black bra.
Yes, one Christmas. Yes, the best gift Rachel has ever given Susie is a bra, and they have a whole bra thing going on. Don't know about you, but I'll be thinking about that for months. So another 2 points there to Rachel. Here's another one for Desiree. We asked Dan, what was Desiree's least favourite acting job? What do you think he said?
Probably being in Bodybuilder Island, but no, it's not true. Although they did make us like hike through like a swamp. I don't know if you hike through a swamp, like trudge through a swamp. Anyway.
You don't walk like Tony does.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that one, Bodybuilder Island.
OK, well, Dan, tell us what you think Desiree's least favourite acting job was.
It's a film called Maya's Soul.
No, it's a different film
No!
called...
Which one? Oh, no!
Maya's Soul. Maya's Soul. I mean, say it as many times as you like. It
yeah, I'm there.
never starts to sound filthy, does it? Maya's Soul. Yes, I'll read you the review for Maya's Soul from IMDb. The review is, do yourself a favour and skip this one. It really isn't worth it. Expect no sensuality in this tale of whores and the men who exploit them. Oh, sorry, that's actually a review for Finding Nemo. So. Do you know what? I'm going to give you a point for that. I'm going to give you a point.
Thank you.
So that's the end of round one. In third place, we have Desiree. In second place is Tony. And in the lead right now, it's Rachel. In round one, we found out what the nominees know about the panellists. But in round two, we see just how well the panellists know their nominees. Tony, we want to find out how well you know your friend Tim Berrington. And I think we can guess. We asked him... Tim, if you were stranded on a desert island, who would you most like to be stranded with? Now, Tony, who do you think Tim might have gone for? Remember, it's Tim.
Tim.
Dull old Tim.
Yes, well, he's happily, in a relationship with children. He doesn't want to ruin that, so he won't answer it honestly. So he will say... John Major.
You think he'd go to a desert island with John Major?
In the character that he is playing for this show, just to piss me off, I think, no, well, he won't say that, but let's say a sports personality then or something. Let's say...
a dull sports personality.
Well, no, let's take the dull out of that in case I ever meet whoever I nominate. Let's say Roger Federer.
OK, let's hear the answer from Tim.
I suppose Andy Murray.
I was trying to help you as like a dull sports person.
Well, presumably desert islands don't have tennis courts, so that's when you get there and think, I've really picked the wrong person. Come on, Andy, let's have a... Oh.
Yes. Let's have a nice conversation.
The ball...
Do you know, I'm going to give you a point for that.
Oh,
because you were so close.
Thank you very much.
But yes, Roger Federer, it was close. Now it's Rachel. Let's see if you really know Susie, or if she's just a woman you share Nick Hewer's jacuzzi with. We asked Susie, what is your greatest hidden talent? Rachel, what do you think she said?
She's surprisingly strong.
Oh.
So she's, on a night out, she's known to arm wrestle. Yeah, seriously.
Who?
Jeff Stelling, the old presenter, she arm wrestled him. She's arm wrestled Nick. Nick says she's strong.
So, elderly men.
I'm going to go with arm wrestling.
Susie, tell us about your hidden talent.
I can get changed in a car without anyone noticing.
Oh, yeah.
Susie can get changed in a car without anyone noticing, and you went, oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's a big dogger.
It's going to be a very difficult edit of this show. So she's done this when there are people around?
I'm not not sure. I'm going to have to get to the bottom of it. I've heard this story before, but I can't remember why she was getting married.
I'm not going to give you any points for that one, I'm afraid. Desiree, let's see if you actually know your friend Dan, or if he's just a gentleman you've rented for the evening. We asked him, Dan, what have you never done that everyone else has? What might Dan have said?
Well, it's not a Radio 4 answer, but...
None of this show is broadcastable, so you may as well go for it.
I want to say it's something like never had a one-night stand. Like, he's definitely sort of the like, I want to, but it's easier just to go back to the sad one I know. Because it always is, isn't it? I want to say that's it, but I'm going to say the thing about the one-night stand.
OK, well, let's ask Dan.
I've never slept with a lady.
Oh, of course, duh.
Yes, he says he's never slept with a lady. I've never slept with a lady. A number of women, but never a lady. I'm going to give you a point because it was close. One night stand, sleeping with a lady, it's sort of around the same area, so I'll give you a point. Tony, here's another one for you. Brace yourself. We asked Tim, if you could be reincarnated as any historical figure, who would you choose? What do you think he might have said? John Major, perhaps?
Yes, I feel like I've never met this man before. Let's go for just a kind of actor that did quite well. Tom Cruise.
OK. Reincarnated as Tom Cruise. Let's check it with Tim.
Captain Cook, although he did have a very nasty end, where I think he was consumed by Hawaiians.
Thanks, Tim, for that factually dubious and politically incorrect story. It's really bringing the past to life there, Tim. Yes, Tim would like to be Captain Cook, but not the way he ended up when he was consumed by Hawaiians. I've never been consumed by Hawaiians myself. Well, not since Birmingham Pride 2014.
So, Tom Cruise, Captain Cook, not close enough for a point, you don't think?
Definitely not. No points there. This one's for you, Rachel. We asked Susie. Susie, what's your favourite word? What do you think she'll have said?
Probably one I've never heard of. Something, she loves German stuff, but there's another word about something like Gallipageian, which means like big round buttocks.
Calipigian.
There you go, thank you. Yeah, I'm not the words one, she's the words one. I'm going to go for the buttocks.
Calipigian?
I've not heard it myself. Yeah. And I did speak to Susie, so it's not the right answer.
Sorry.
Susie, what's your favourite word?
I think I'm going to go for thunderplump.
Yes. So
what does it mean?
Thunderplump.
A heavy downpour, yes. Her favourite word is thunderplump. I recently painted my bathroom in thunderplump. I was very, very ill. No points there. Now it's Desiree. We asked Dan. Dan, what is your most prized possession? What will Dan have said?
The first thing that came to mind is this poster he has in his room and at home in Philadelphia where he grew up. It's like a basketball poster, and it's Magic Johnson and Larry Bird like together back to back, and like their little butts like touch right there at the end and then go back down, and we just sit there and stare and giggle at that poster for hours and hours. It's the basketball butt poster.
The basketball butt poster. Let's find out what Dan went for.
My dog, Daisy, who has on more than one occasion tried to hump Desiree.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say her. I'm still mad at her.
Yes, Dan's most prized possession is his dog, Daisy, who has repeatedly tried to hump Desiree. I've never been humped by a dog myself. Well, not since Birmingham Pride 2014. No points there, and that's the end of round 2. And in third place is Desiree, in second place is Tony, and still out in front is Rachel. These are the rules for round 3. I'll read out the answer to a question, and what you have to do is tell me which of our 3 nominees gave that answer. Was it Tony Hawk's friend Tim, Rachel Riley's Countdown co-star Susie, or Desiree Birch's friend Dan? Now, I want you to remain calm, but things are about to get even more exciting, because we're going to bring in some buzzers. But if you buzz in and you're wrong, a point will be deducted from your overall score. As they say on Countdown, this is all a load of rubbish, but it pays the bills. So, fingers on buzzers. Which of tonight's nominees, Tim, Susie or Dan, said that when they were growing up they wanted to be a farmer? That is Tony.
Tim.
All right, let's see who it was.
My first job that I ever wanted to be was a farmer.
It was Dan. Did you know? You didn't know this about him?
No, I mean, how many gay farmers are there out there? Why did he have ever dreamed that?
Yes, when he was growing up, Dan wanted to be a farmer, which is unexpected. However, I can imagine him lying in a farmhouse of a morning, being startled from his slumber by a boisterous cock. No points there. Let's have a go at another one. Which of our nominees said that if they could be any animal, they would be a wild Connemara pony? Who could that have been? Desiree.
I'm going to say that's Tim.
You think it's Tim? Well, let's find out.
A wild Connemara pony.
It's Susie.
Of course, I should have known by the word.
Did you know this, Rachel?
What even is a wild Connemara pony?
It's
Pony from Ireland, west of Ireland.
Irish pony.
That's quite... She's turning into Tim a little bit. Sorry, Suze.
Yes, Susie would come back as a wild Connemara pony. Connemara ponies are, of course, wild, shaggy Irish animals, which takes me back to Birmingham Pride 2015. No points there. Let's have one more go. Which of our three nominees, Tim, Susie or Dan, said that the worst job they ever had was clearing out a disused factory? Tony again?
Tim.
Let's check and see.
Clearing out a disused factory.
Yes, it's life and soul of the party, Tim. It was Tim whose worst job was clearing out a disused factory. You say it's the worst job you've ever had, Tim, but it's left you with another priceless anecdote worth its weight in gold. 2 points there to you, Tony. And it's the end of round 3. And in third place is Desiree. Tony is in second, and right out in front, it's Rachel. It's time for round 4. We call this round...
One massive
question. In this round, we only ask one question. But that question is, and people who've been paying attention may have guessed this already, massive. It's a question that will reveal once and for all how well each panellist knows their nominee. And to give you an indication of just how important this moment is, let me tell you about the stakes. Because it's a massive question, it's worth a massive 4 points. Yeah, whatever. Tonight, the one massive question is... How does your nominee sign off their emails? It's a big one. Most people have characteristic ways that they sign off their emails, ranging from the formal, yours sincerely, to the relaxed and casual, love and kisses on the BTM. I get that one from my accountant. Desiree Birch, close your eyes, enter your mind palace, and fuse with the consciousness of your friend, Dan Catrosa. His eyes are your eyes, his hands are your hands. How does he sign off his emails, Desiree?
Oh, man. I mean, I want to say love ya.
Dan, put us out of your misery. How do you sign off your emails?
I usually end my emails with XO, enter D.
XO, enter D. Playwright and screenwriter Dan Catrosa. Once again showing us his way with words. Unfortunately, no points there. Rachel Riley now. Imagine your friend and Countdown colleague Susie Dent. Imagine she's sending you an email. Just, the normal sort of thing. Bitching about Nick Hewer or forwarding a spicy meme. But how would Susie sign that email off? Rachel?
I think she just says lots of love, Susie, and a couple of kisses. Simple. Keep
Lots
it simple.
of love, Susie, and a couple of kisses.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Susie, how do you sign off your emails?
I would simply put capital S, X.
Capital S, X. She knows you prefer the consonants to the vowels, doesn't she? So no points there. Finally, Tony Hawks. I think the phrase life or death situation be overused sometimes, but let's not pretend this isn't one of them. You may have been round Ireland with a fridge, but can you achieve an even more impressive feat and vaguely remember what your friend Tim puts at the end of his emails?
I think he just puts cheers.
Let's put an end to the drama. Tim, how do you sign off your emails?
I generally sign my emails off with cheers, particularly if it's the same.
Tim, you sign off your emails with cheers, particularly if they're to friends. What can one say other than, you absolute lad? So that's 4 points to Tony, and that's the end of this week's It's Not What You Know. So let's see the final scores. In third place, it's Desiree. And in joint first and off home with one of two famous gyms and a copy of Maya's Soul on high-definition Blu-ray, it's Tony and Rachel. Thank you to all of our panellists, Tony Hawks and his friend Tim, Rachel Riley and her friend and co-star Susie, and Desiree Birch and her friend Dan. And until next time, just remember, it's not what you know. Bye-bye! It's Not What You Know was hosted by me, Joe Lycett. Some of the things I said were written by me and James Kettle, with additional material by Aidan Butler. The show was produced by Matt Strong, and it was a BBC Studios production.
And there you have it. We're at the happily ever after part of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, you can hear more episodes of It's Not What You Know on the BBC Radio 4 website or on the BBC iPlayer Radio app. And please get in touch. At SindhuVFunny, use hashtag Comedy of the Week. Let me know the most surprising thing you've discovered about your partner or pal. But only those that you can share publicly, of course. Okay, I've got a dash. I got to get home and work with Kid 3 on his forward rolls. I mean, please.
Hello, Russell Kane here. Hope you enjoyed that genius podcast. Now I'd like to do some evil and force my plug right into your ear holes. Subscribe to the Evil Genius BBC podcast, where me and a panel of funny, clever tinkers decide whether famous characters from history were more bad than good. From Roald Dahl to John Lennon, we weigh the scales of vile and divine, answering the age-old question, evil or genius? Subscribe to Evil Genius wherever you get your podcasts.